Yes, everybody, Russ and West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well around here. Give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a bloody good subscribe. Give it a like if you're excited about tonight's show. We bring you another X-Hammers live to the show and give you the opportunity to ask questions. And we've got some great questions and really looking forward to it. I haven't spoken to this man for, God, it seemed like about a year ago, I think I last spoke to this man. He was sweating buckets because his AC had just broken. It's Mr. Shaka Hislop. How you doing, Shax?
I'm good, Ross. How are you?
Good, very, very good. The coolest man in football, but you were really sweaty that day because the AC had broken.
I think you got me earlier in the year, so at least I don't need to have my AC this time around.
No, you're okay. You're okay. You done all right. How's things in the Hislop household?
All really well. Can't complain. Given the couple of years that we've had to endure, better people have suffered more than I have. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, you cover West Ham over there. Obviously, for those you don't know, Shaka is in on the east coast of the United States. That's why it's not just like he hasn't got very good lighting. It is actually daytime over there. And obviously, you've been covering West Ham, and we're doing all right, aren't we? We're doing all right.
We're doing really well. I mean, again, just to be there, flirting with the top four, even though that kind of looks out of reach now. The football has been fantastic. To see the European run continue as it has, and in particular, you and I were swapping emails right around that Sevilla result. I mean, Sevilla, who have become the Europa League kings of over the last few years, to get the better of them at two legs and that performance at home. I mean, it's great to witness and be a fan of as it's happening.
And also, because I mean, because obviously you guys, that's sort of the 99, 2000 guys. That was the last time we was in Europe properly, really. Sort of
That's right.
UEFA Cup, and obviously winning the Instota, and obviously got knocked out by Stenar Bucharest at that time. But still, it's sort of it was almost written that we'd got to get you back on around this time. But through to the quarterfinals, easy,
Right,
easy.
touching distance. It's
Touching.
when you get to the quarterfinals, it feels so real. Regardless of what competition you're in, once you start seeing quarterfinals, you feel like, this is happening. It's within our grasp.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think. Yeah. Obviously, we've got Leon, who are very, very. They're not no mugs at all. I mean, they did very well in the Champions League last year, and not doing so well in the league this year. But yeah, obviously the report today is West Ham have sold out all the tickets. They've got on general sale for the home game, so it's going to be pumping like the Sevilla game. So can't wait now. Can't wait.
Excellent. Yep.
Can't wait. Right, we've got loads of questions, so I want to just go through the questions because it really is about people having the opportunity to ask you questions and stuff. I'm sure there'll be stuff already. I know there's going to be stuff about the FA Cup final because there will be. There'll be stuff about. I know there's going to be stuff I haven't even looked yet, but there'll be stuff about Areola versus Fabianski. I know that will be happening as well. All that type of stuff. Right, first question. Let's have a look. All right, let's get it out of the way. Okay. What went for your head as Gerrard hit that shot in the last minute? Come on.
I wish I could tell you. For some very strange reason, I heard the announcer in the Millennium Stadium come over and say there'll be 4 minutes or whatever. I can't remember exactly what. I think it was 4 minutes of injury time to play, and the ball just fell to Steven Gerrard. Now, the thing is, nobody's thinking Steven Gerrard because he was just down on the floor with a calf injury, and which is why he was as free as he was. And then the ball just kind of popped loose, and even from my vantage point, I didn't see him coming onto the ball, and just as he kind of look up, and he's there and running onto it, and hit this thing as cleanly as anything. And I'll be honest, I saw it coming all the way. I didn't see him coming onto the ball, but I saw him hit it. I wish I could offer the excuse that I was unsighted, or I saw it and I just couldn't get anywhere near it, and it was heartbreaking. It really, really was.
Yeah, it was. One day we'll be back. It doesn't, but we win the Europa League, so it's okay.
That's right. Put all those bad memories behind us.
I see, because I see Conch like literally every game, and put all that to play. You won't moan, and Marlon. We see Marlon quite a lot of the ambassadors, and you won't have to worry of the fact that he had 1 foot by the end of that game and stuff, and.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. We'll move.
Right.
We have to get out of the way. It's out of the way now. No more
Yeah,
FA
yeah,
Cup
yeah, yeah,
questions. No
yeah.
more
I
FA Cup
understand.
questions. Right. If you were a goalkeeper, our goalkeeper coach, Shax, who would play in our Premier League games, Fabs or Areola? It's a discussion that's been going throughout for the whole season, and it could well go into next season as well. This debate, Fabianski or Areola. Where are you? Where you're sitting? Obviously, part of the
I,
goalkeeper union.
I think the beauty of this question is that there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
In all honesty, but if I had to make a pick right now, I'm sticking with Fabianski. I've become a huge Fabianski. I don't think he was. I don't think he was appreciated for how good he was at Arsenal. I thought West Ham did wonderfully well to secure his services, and I think he's been great throughout.
Mm.
The old cliche is possession is nine tenths of the law. I do not think Fabianski has done anything to justify his being out of the team. He
Mm.
has had to endure a few injuries over the years. Um, but that being said, once he's back in, I think he keeps his spot. Now, if Areola comes in, if Lucas Fabianski gets injured and Areola comes in and makes that position his own in how he's played so far, you can't you can't argue with that either. But right now, all things being equal, I'm sticking with Lucas Fabianski.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I think, as you said, possession is nine tenths of the law, isn't it?
Yeah,
But I mean, obviously, we have, and a lot of clubs do it. They have like the league goalkeeper and the cup goalkeeper. As a goalkeeper, you obviously want to be in goal all the time. But do
yeah.
you almost like know, as if you're number two, for example, you're going to come in. Oh, I know I'm not going to play today because it's a league game. I know I'm going to be playing in the cup. Or is that the right mindset for a goalkeeper, or do you just want to?
You have to be prepared. And
Yeah,
to the question, 2005 2006, of course, I was second to Roy Carroll, and
yeah,
I played in the cups. And then Roy got injured late 2005, early 2006. I can't remember exactly when it
yeah,
was. I got in, played in the FA Cup, played a few league games, and then we went on that FA Cup run.
yeah.
And again, the old cliches in the game, you don't change a winning team. And
Mm,
that's how come I ended up kind of playing all the way through to the end of the season. It was just because of Roy getting injured, me being right place, right time, and then to the second part of your question there was just having that right mindset that I'm here to play. Listen, I knew when we came in, Alan Pardew, when he called me after my time at Pompey, he said he wanted somebody to really push Roy Carroll, and here I was 2005, so I was 36 years old, and I'm thinking, right, I can give the young popular a run for his money and then keep him on his toes, so to speak. And that was my motivation to really just to get the best out of Roy, but knowing full well that uh, I felt in my time at Portsmouth, particularly in my last season, I wasn't treated fairly
yeah,
in terms of starting position, and I wanted to prove a lot to them. I wanted to prove a lot to myself, and I wanted to reward Alan Pardew for that faith that he showed in me, in believing that I could push Roy Carroll. So I continued doing as I always had, trained as hard as I want to say always had, but I'm now 35, nearly 36 years old, as hard as my body would allow me to, and take those opportunities when they did come. Always be ready for those opportunities if they did come,
yeah.
and finish off the season as I did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I totally makes sense. We've interviewed quite a lot of goalkeepers, ex West Ham goalkeepers, people like obviously like Roy, but obviously people who like Ian Foyer, who was
Yeah,
number two to Ludo, and as you said, you as the goalkeepers union, you want your player, you want your compadre to do well, but
that's right.
you got to be
Yeah,
ready. You got to be
it's a
ready.
real balancing act
Yeah,
in that regard because here I am. I've got to push Roy Carroll. Um, push him to be the best that he can. I have to support him as best I can as a number two, but all the while, that if I'm called on, I have to put my best foot forward. I
yeah,
have to give everything of myself to keep him out of the team, so to speak. And that's only when I'm pushing Roy Carroll to push him out, push him to make the best of himself as a goalie and pushing for myself to be in, does he become the best goalie that he is?
Yeah.
And it's the same relationship that I had with Craig Forrest.
Yes.
Craig was an incredibly
Oh,
talented
lovely bloke.
goalkeeper,
Yeah.
and he brought the best out of me in my first spell at West Ham,
Mm.
and I have him to thank for a lot of the things that I was able to achieve in my time at Upton Park.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, we've had Craig on as well. I love Craig. He's lovely.
Yeah.
He's so funny. Right, okay. We've got loads of questions. I don't know how we're going to get through all of them. Right, okay. Best defender. You rate highest played in front of you during your time at West Ham, or 5 years, actually, Frank, to be honest. It's 5 years.
Yeah,
5 seasons.
5 seasons. So
Yeah.
I can reel off any number of names here.
It's
Of course,
ridiculous.
I played behind Julian Dix, who's in the photos as I can see. Albeit briefly, Julian was coming back from injury and
Yeah.
never really saw the best of Julian Dix. I played behind Rio Ferdinand, of course, young player coming through, and we all
Mm.
know how things went for him in the rest of his career. Um, but then I will say name that springs to mind is Pierce.
Mm.
Now I say name because there were two.
Two,
I
if I say.
played behind Stuart Pearce at Newcastle and at West Ham, and I just feel that as an example, I couldn't have asked more
Mm.
for in playing behind somebody who knew the game, was as passionate for the game as he was, understood what it meant to be a defender. That your name is never going to be in the headlines,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but this is how you're judged. And for the years I was able to play behind Stuart Pearce, I grew up. I grew up playing behind
Yeah.
Stuart Pearce. I had the best understanding with Ian Pearce, and Ian and I would always have this joke. Like every time I came for a cross, I would always fall on Ian Pearce, and so during the games, it would go for a cross and come down, and I wouldn't even look around. I was just like, "Is that you, Piercy?" It's like, "Yes, you know it's me," and we just laugh. But so we had that understanding, albeit jokingly around coming for crosses and always landing or colliding with him, but we kind of read the game very similarly, and I think it was really good for me, and I'd like to think it was really good for him as well.
Yeah, and obviously that year, when you and Piercy were on it together, obviously you finished Hammer of the Year, you
Yeah,
won it, and Ian was runner up. So
that's right.
it worked. And
That's
what's
right.
that?
Exactly.
What's that
Exactly.
like? Being able to being voted Hammer of the Year, obviously by the fans. It must be. Is it it must be quite humbling, to be honest, to have the fans vote for you as the best player that year out of the squad.
Well, it's both humbling and now in my later years, ego boosting, shall we say? So because it's still West Ham's best finish in the Premier
Yeah,
League,
yeah,
and so I have that over any of my former teammates. That at least I can boast that in West Ham's best ever Premier League finish,
yeah,
and we are now 27 years later.
yeah.
Um, I was the Hammer of the Year, so at least I have that. So if Piercy calls me up to give me a hard time, I can remind him of that rather quickly.
I'm sure you do, and it's great. So obviously, Stuart is now part of the backroom
Yeah.
staff at West Ham, and has that. There's a real sort of old school,
Hmm.
every age group has a ex-player associated to it now, and there's just this sort of just a really nice vibe around the place, man. I
Yeah,
love it, absolutely love it.
I could imagine. Hmm.
Exactly. In terms of your kids, any of your kids get into football?
My youngest three. So my eldest daughter danced.
Yeah.
And anybody who's seen me, I've got two left feet, so I don't know. That's got to be from her mother. My second daughter did gymnastics at a very high level. Again, I have no idea where she got that from. And then my youngest three played. So I've got four girls and a boy. My third daughter, she played, but then blew out both her knees and has had to stop.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter, she still plays. She, fingers crossed, touch wood, will be going to university
Brilliant.
come the summer in August on a soccer scholarship.
Wow.
And our youngest, my son, who is now 14, he'll be 15 in a couple of months' time. He's with the New England Revolution Academy. New England Revolution, of course, being the Major League Soccer club
Nearest
nearest
you.
to us here. Yes.
Fantastic. Love it, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
He's a
Right.
striker. He's a striker for
Oh,
the. None of them are goalkeepers. I'm happy to report, Russ. I'm not sure.
were you
I'm
ever?
not sure. I'm cut out to be a goalie dad. I really am not sure.
Because as you said, like, the defenders never get any headlines, and really the goalkeepers only get headlines when it's like a penalty shootout.
That's
So
right.
it's the
Or the
strikers,
wrong kind of
or the
headlines.
wrong.
Or
Yeah,
the
you're
wrong
right. Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
headlines.
yeah, and that's always
Yeah,
difficult. I think that's why goalkeepers have that goalkeepers union, because you all stick together, because one
that's
mistake and
right.
it's a goal, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
otherwise the
yeah.
other way around.
We know how fragile. We know how fragile a position it is.
Yeah,
You can have a brilliant 89 minutes, and then all of a sudden one rolls through your legs in the last, and that's what you're remembered for.
yeah.
Sadly.
I know, and it is. You're totally right. One mistake, a defender can misplace a pass, and
That's right.
but one mistake and it's a goal for you, isn't it?
Hmm.
Right, Scott. Hi, Shaka. I've never forgotten my mascot experience back in 2000. For me, Rio had terrible taste in music in the changing room. Who had the worst taste in your time at the club? Wow, wow, wow.
Well, I thought Rio's taste was all right.
That's
Um,
right.
let me just say, right, it would have to be a collective responsibility to that. So now, before games, our music of choice, and I think it was it was Ian Wright and Razor who started this. It was
Don't
Elvis.
surprise me. Yeah.
So it would be Elvis before the games, before the game, and whenever we won, it would be Elvis on the boombox afterwards as well. So I but it was great. We loved every minute of it. I have to say. So I'll say it was a collective effort in that regard.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it. It's absolutely fun. Which opposition player did you find difficult to play against? Good
The
question.
player I hated playing against most, Matt Letitia.
Really?
Honestly, and I think the difficulty for me with Matt is I just couldn't read what he was doing. Now, if a player is going to chip, you kind of know how his body shapes. If he's going to drill it, if whatever he has in mind, you can get a hint by how he approaches the ball. But for me, Matt Letitia could do anything with the exact same run up, the exact same approach and body shape. I just couldn't figure it out. So I could never get my positioning just right. And honestly, that for me, he was the player I hated playing against most.
Yeah. I mean, he's a phenomenal player, wasn't he? Absolutely
Yeah,
amazing
yeah,
player. Good question from Pete. Favorite home? Bowling is the answer for the first
of
question,
course.
or St James's Park if you're talking to any Newcastle fans. But your favourite away? Oh, you could just play neutral, really. Favourite away ground and favourite home ground. Then Gordon.
Favorite away ground, Anfield.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved playing at Anfield. Um, I think the major reason being the fans there were there for the football.
yeah.
They weren't there to boo or give you a hard time. They there to support their team, yes, but they were there for the football. And if you played well, if I saved well, they'd show their appreciation. And there was a real. I felt that the Anfield crowd in particular had a real understanding for the game, and I absolutely loved playing at Anfield. Um, favorite home ground. Whenever I was at home, it's and the thing for me, Russ, is listen. My experience of the game as a kid growing up is very different. I never thought I'd be playing football professionally. Never did.
Sure.
And then recognize my that dream and first joining Reading. Um, and I remember coming out at Elm Park for any of the fans who are old enough to remember. And this was a proper, 1900s ground. And I remember going out there and thinking it was the best thing I'd seen. This was the best team I'd ever been a part of. So for me, just kind of playing for a crowd, representing that fan base was always special. And was always another step of me recognizing my childhood dream. So I will not differentiate between grounds, whether we're talking, as I say, Elm Park, I never played at the Majeski Stadium, as it happens I played at the Majeski Stadium for West Ham.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Actually, I played at the Majeski Stadium September 11th, 2001, when
Wow.
it was the day of the terrorist attacks in New York.
Wow.
West Ham played Reading in the League Cup September 11th, and we lost. I'm pretty sure it was 0-0, and we lost on penalties. So that's the only time I played at the Majeski Stadium. I never played there as a Reading player.
Wow. Wow. What a day to
Yeah,
remember as well, isn't it? Jesus.
yeah, exactly.
Um, right, let's lighten the mood. You ever tried pie and mash when you was at West Ham?
I did. Never tried jelly deals. The second part of your question. So again, I blame Razor for this. Along with the Elvis music. Every Friday we would go to a little chippy right around the corner from Upton Park, and we'd have pie and mash, bubble and squeak, whatever it is. It would be about 10 of us. 10 players would all go, and you could see people coming in there and do a double take, like, what the players doing here? But that was our go-to before every Friday, before every home game. We would go to this chippy right around the corner. And so yes, I had the pie and mash, had bubble and squeak. Never was brave enough to try the jelly deal.
No, no. I think it was in the summer. I said that if we won the Europa League, I would try a jelly deal, and someone like sent it to me on Twitter the other day, and they were like, "Russ, come on, man!" Oh shit! It's like, oh shit, man! Oh shit! Some nice. Let's get some nice comments. Want to say, big shout, you're a legend, playing in the FA Cup final. Nice to see. Happy Hammer, it loves the picture behind you. It's better. Last time it was a Newcastle one, so it's better than last time. Blimey, Shaka, you're looking younger each. Yeah, you do look so. Yeah, you look younger than when you played, to be honest, man. Right, that's nice. Has an age. Yeah, look, has an age when I first met him 22 years ago. You see. Did you have any superstitions before going onto the pitch? Anything you would do every game?
No real superstitions. I would try to come out before everybody else. So that's the only thing
Sure,
I tried to do. I tried to come out to start my warm up before everybody else, um, because I like to go in a little bit before everybody else.
sure.
I like to go back into the dressing room and just have 4 or 5 minutes when it was quiet, when it was still, just to sit there, just me and my thoughts, just to kind of get my focus on the game. Um, Before, once everybody came in, then the place just erupted, and that's
Mm,
pretty much game time. Never mind when the whistle starts. Once everybody starts coming back in the dressing room, everything just goes crazy from
goes
from
crazy.
from that point. So I would always try to get that 4 or 5 minutes just to myself, just to sit in there with just the kept man or whoever it was. So the only superstition I say in inverted commas is, as a result, I would go out, 4 or 5 minutes before everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a bad one to have, to be honest. Particularly with those, particularly the first section with like Razor and all that lot. Yeah, you probably needed
Exactly,
5 minutes
exactly.
just to decompress before it all kicked off.
Yeah.
A question from Afan: any tips for a young goalkeeper? I'm slowly getting better. However, I've still got a lot to improve. So we'll ask that one. So, any tips for a young goalkeeper?
Okay, I think you have to find your personality as a goalkeeper and do what comes best and naturally to you. While I think it's always good to emulate other goalkeepers that you see and who do things a certain way, there are things that you know you can't be. I didn't have the personality to be a Bruce Grobbelaar, even though as a young goalkeeper coming through at Reading, Bruce had just left Liverpool and was saving for Southampton. So for those fans who may not know, Reading to Southampton was a easy 45-minute drive.
Yeah,
Whenever Southampton Bruce Grobbelaar were playing, I would go to watch him play. I would just go and sit and no, nobody knew who I was, playing for Reading in the second
sure,
division or whatever it was. But I couldn't be Bruce Grobbelaar. Personality wise, we were just different. I couldn't be a Peter Schmeichel. We were just different. I could look at how he positioned himself in coming for crosses. I could look at how Bruce Grobbelaar tried to anticipate through balls or whatever it was. But I had to find
style.
my own voice,
Mm, mm,
shall we say, as a goalkeeper. Do what I think I was good at, worked on the things that I needed to improve. Um, if I were to say, if I were to offer advice to a young goalkeeper in terms of training, always work on the things that you need to improve.
Mm.
Work on those things first. And then at the end of your training session, finish up on the things that you're good at. Because you still have to do the things that you're good at. But I think it always leaves you in a better space psychologically if you're walking off the ground having done something that you're good at and feeling really good about how that session ended. So while you can work on the things that you're not so strong at and become frustrated, but you have to keep working on it. So dedicate the bulk of the time to that, but always keep working and finish off with a little bit of time on the things that you're very strong at.
Yeah.
If
So
you
the
if you're strong at kicking, finish your
kicking.
session up with kicking.
So the in essence, what we used to call in the corporate world a shit sandwich, where basically you say something good, then say something bad, then you say something good. So start, yeah. Or
There
yours
you
would
go.
be
That's right.
it'd be an open sandwich because you start with the
That's
shit
right.
stuff and then yeah. Okay, there we
Yeah.
go. The Shaka Hislop open shit sandwich. It's the goalkeeper coach. You'll be seeing Ian Foy will be doing it soon. He'll do. Congrats on your career, Shaka. Considering you're now in the media, do you ever get annoyed when non-goalkeeper pundits criticise goalkeepers when they haven't got a clue what they're talking about?
Yeah, listen, I understand. I understand. I understand when people say things that I don't think shows a true appreciation for the position, or how easy it is to make a mistake.
Yeah,
For argument's sake, like the one example I'll use, and goalkeepers will appreciate, if a ball hits me in the middle of the hand, it's going around the post. It hits me an inch down. It's hitting the bottom of my hand and going in. So all of
yeah,
a sudden, if I overcook it or there's a movement in the ball and I'm an inch off, is the difference between me looking a hero and me looking a mug. So
yeah,
I understand how thin those margins are as much as much as anybody. But I also understand that's how defenders see the game, or the attackers see the game, or see goalkeeping, and it's my job now, just to kind of share my understanding around goalkeeping in much the same way that they share other aspects of the game with me, and it doesn't accept me. I accept. It doesn't upset me. I accept it. But whenever somebody says something that I disagree with, or I feel I could shed better light on, I jump in.
yeah. For example, Craig Burley, is he always as grumpy, or is it just an
Yes.
act?
No. No. Craig Burley is grumpy. There is no act. There is no other way to describe it. That is Craig.
Love it, love it, love it, PCADs. Obviously, an American viewer there. At West Ham, who's the worst dressed? Did anyone? I mean, there must be some shot. I'm looking at some of the
Oh,
players you played with.
jeez.
Must have been some shocking. I can see Righty probably turning up in a weird outfit, or
You see, but when you're Ian Wright, you can wear wherever you want, and it's all
yeah,
right. Yeah, it's Ian Wright.
good
Who's
point.
the worst dressed? I don't know. I'm not
Well,
sure.
I suppose John Moncur
Steve
never had
Loma.
any
Steve Lomi was probably
Lomi.
an easy. It's probably an easy out.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I'm not. I'm not. I can't remember too well. In all
I
honesty,
mean, I mean,
maybe this is the point where I say I never used to go out. See, see who
good boy.
see who be yeah. See who believe that. I
Yeah,
would
exactly.
never see. That's right. So I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Was it Tuesday Club? Was it Harry? Was it
I
Tuesday Club? Oh, you don't
I
know,
don't
do
know.
you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't know what
I
you're
don't know what
talking.
you're
No, what
talking
you're talking about. No, what you're talking about. What you're talking about. I would say John Moncur, but he never had any clothes on, so you couldn't tell if he was if he was
Yeah,
naked or not.
the rumors are true. The rumors are very true.
Yeah. It's yeah. Once, yeah. If someone says it once, it's a rumor. If it's two or three times, different people saying it. How do you, in terms of media? Obviously, you do loads of stuff for ESPN. How do you find that now compared to your playing time? Obviously, with playing time, you're very regimented in terms of obviously you had your schedule of training, and obviously maybe not so much. Was it a big shift moving into the media
It
world?
was. It was. It's not something I ever thought about doing, and not something I planned on doing. It just kind of fell in my lap, and I thought it was a good opportunity that I couldn't turn down. Um, and the truth is, the last few years of my career, that 2005 2006 season
Yeah.
included, it starts to get frustrating because as you get older, you just can't do things the way that you once did, and
Mm.
it really doesn't matter how hard you train. It's just part of growing older. You can't do things the way you once did, and then psychologically you feel the same. Mentally I'm still feeling exactly as I did 10 years earlier, and it becomes really tough on you psychologically,
Mm.
trying to figure that out, and then you just have to one day you just have to accept that listen, it's not coming back, so to speak.
Mm.
And I remember when I announced I accepted um, my to call it quits before the end of the season, before the end of the MLS season, and I was in tears. I'd say unashamedly, I was inconsolable, just kind of having to, you know, lower the curtain on what was a dream,
Yeah.
and then this opportunity presented itself, and while it's different, while it in no way replaces playing, it comes a close enough second. I'm not
Mm.
sure. Other than managing, I'm not sure what comes close. I'm involved in the game. We still get to talk. We still have that same dressing room banter, albeit now,
Yeah.
kind of because same lads from, you know, same understanding of a dressing room. So we still share that banter, and we get to talk about the game. The beauty of it is, even when we get things wrong, it doesn't really matter. Or you just come back and say, "Oh, I got that wrong,"
Yeah.
and nobody, your name's not in headlines. You just move on.
Great
Um,
point.
so it's more and a whole lot more than I thought it would be. And again, I had no idea what I was getting into when I was offered the position.
Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. As you said,
Mm,
you sort of felt it, and it's one of those things that there's certain players I think who it works really well with. They
yeah,
work going to punditry and it works. So over here, Joe Cole's smashing it
yeah,
for BT
yeah,
Sport. He's him and Colton. It's like
yeah.
West Ham's version of Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Right.
Danny DeVito, but they're
Yeah,
they're,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
brilliant. And obviously the Europa League games, and it's great. Now, obviously, with footballers, with strikers particularly, they tend to remember all their games when they've scored goals and stuff. With goalkeepers, I mean, a question from Pat Holland fan who's in Australia. Do you have an important save you remember in your head, or several that you go, oh, do you know what? I remember that save. Is it as
Probably the most important save I'd say is for Newcastle. I just joined from Reading, so first season in the Premier League. We're at home to Liverpool. Steve McManaman hits a shot that gets a huge deflection off of Darren Peacock,
yeah,
and I was moving to my left and takes his deflection, and I able to come back to my right and claw the ball onto the post, and then we end up, there's a bit of a everything, everybody's piling in, a scramble on the goal line, and I end up getting on, was able to get up and get on the rebound, and I think that was important because of everything that Newcastle was already showing themselves to be, and then this is my first season in the Premier League, and I make that save, right? And we went on to win the game 2-1. If memory serves me correctly, I'm pretty sure it was 2-1, and that for me kind of announced, to me, most importantly, and to everyone else, less importantly, that I was good enough for this level.
yeah. Yeah, it must. As particularly, you said, going for a small, no disrespect to Reading, but coming to a smaller club,
Yeah,
then going to a
hmm
Newcastle club, it
hmm
sort of legitimises
that's
you
right.
being there. Yeah, no, I get that totally. Now, unsurprised, there's a few questions about Paolo Di Canio.
hmm
Scott said, "How good was he?" And then another question down here about how nuts was he? Um, Obviously, you played with the man for a few years,
Yeah,
trained with him,
yeah,
travelled with him.
yep.
What was he
Paolo was
like?
nuts. To the question, I was to put things to tell you just kind of how unpredictable Paolo was. One preseason, I can't remember what year it was. We go to Plymouth. We play Plymouth away because Harry always used to like to take us down to Exeter to Nigel Mansell's place, as where we'd always go for preseason. And we go and we play Plymouth. and we lead in 6-0, and then we make it's a preseason game. Make a whole heap of changes, and we concede one goal in the 89th minute or something of the sort. So this preseason game against Plymouth finishes 6-1, and Paulo comes in and starts turning the place upside down, fuming about what nobody knows what Paulo's upset about. And he is just going on and on in Italian, and every now and then he's swearing in English, and nobody can understand why Paulo is as upset as he is. And you just kind of accept that, yeah, this Paulo,
That's
this kind
Paulo.
of par for the course, you know. But then you balance that off with his brilliance, and everybody talks about the goal that he scored against Wimbledon, that
Yeah,
volley with, and I keep telling people, I seen before that, I seen him do that so many times.
Ian,
It wasn't a fluke. And I heard Paulo say in an interview that it just came to him. No, it didn't.
he didn't. No, no, he didn't.
I've seen Paulo do that time and time and time again. I've seen it. So when he pulled it off, I'm like, oh well, maybe it was one of his better ones. First time I've seen him do it during a game, but he scored countless ones of those on me in training. That's just Paulo really was that much of a genius. That type of thing that didn't just come to him. That he could do that at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, absolute nutter as well. Yeah, on and off the pitch. Let's go for the. What was your relationship like with Harry? We've had Harry on the channel, friend of the channel, Mr. Redknapp.
Great. Well, of course, I followed Harry
He
to
did.
Pompey.
Yeah,
I love playing for Harry. I think Harry was an incredible man manager, and I credit Harry and Les Seeley, of course, who died a few years
yeah,
just after I left West Ham, um, for bringing out the best in me. And my last, I was enjoying my time at Newcastle, but I really needed that change, and thanks to the two of them, I really fell in love with the place. I really did.
yeah. No, he's top man. Nice one from Lee. I remember seeing a quote when you retired said you'd spend most of your time laying under a palm tree.
Yeah.
Was this correct? Do you get to do it very often? I don't know about East
Nah, I don't get to do
East
it.
Coast.
Nowhere near as much as I'd like to. Small confession here. I was in Trinidad and Tobago a couple of weeks ago.
Ah,
Went to see my mom and dad. I hadn't seen them since the start of the pandemic, and then
yeah,
my brother and I've got two brothers. One lives in Trinidad. Another lives not far from me here in the US, and then we
nice.
went down just to see our mom and dad. And we there was one day that myself and my two brothers we went down to the beach, sat under a palm tree as it happened, and spent the day just kind of talking about nothing. And
Oh,
it was a
brilliant.
day very well spent. And sadly, I don't get to spend anywhere near as many of those as I would like.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's one of those things that it's so bad. You'd like to do it. You'd like to, when you're doing, oh, we should do this more often. But you never
Yeah,
get time to
yeah,
do it more often, do you?
that's right,
Right, let's,
that's right.
let's get some funny. Did you learn any Cockney when you was at West Ham?
A little bit. Forgotten most now. Apples and pears. Some of it still don't make sense. But then when you're playing with John Moncur in your team, you
Oh,
have no
God.
choice
No.
but to figure it out quickly.
They do a fantastic, there's a comedian called Mickey Flanagan over here. He does this he does this like little skit, and it's like he's so Cockney it hurts, and he's like, oh, I'm riddled with, and that's John, isn't it? John's
Yeah,
proper
it
like he
is.
just like he
Yeah.
literally embodies. I love him the way he walks into the players' lounge. I love it. He's such a dude. Right, Shax, what's your favourite tipple at a dinner party?
um, right now, I'm a straight rum kind of guy, or on the rocks. That has been my go-to. If I'm back home in Trinidad and I can get fresh coconut water,
Yeah.
I like coconut water as a chaser, but it has to be fresh. So if I'm not home, if I can't get it fresh, just give it to me on the rocks, and I'm
That's right.
I'm
Oh,
good.
that's it. It's all the important questions on the West
That's
Ham
that's
Network.
that's right. That's right.
That's it. Favorite chocolate bar?
I'm
Yeah,
what they call it again? Milk chocolate. Just Cadbury's milk
Dairy
chocolate.
Milk, Dairy
Dairy
Milk.
milk. That's the word I was Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
None of that Hershey's crap. Oh,
No. And the thing is, you can get them over here, but made in the US. And it's nowhere near as good as the dairy milk you get in England. So I'll go even further to say Cadbury's Dairy Milk made in England. Between that and the Tunnock's what they call the wafer bars.
Tunnock's caramel wafer.
Caramels.
Oh,
Caramels. That's the one.
that's the one.
Between Dairy Milk and Tunnock's Caramel, I don't need another candy bar. I don't need another candy bar ever.
No, exactly. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, you're very close to the away fans and the home fans. Were there any songs that they'd sing, or which you remember? Like any funny songs, whether home or away?
I can't remember too many of them. I only remember when I played for Reading one year. We had this pink. I had the goalkeeper shirt was pink.
Yeah.
And the away fans, and I think it started to spread around the league, had a song where they used to call me Mr. Blobby. I can't remember the song, but that just stuck with me. I'm like, oh God.
Love it.
Yep, I knew it was coming. And it spread to every away ground. That's it.
Yeah. I love it. Favorite singer or band?
Okay, favorite singer. I'm gonna go local here. There's a calypso artist, Machel Montano from Trinidad and Tobago, who is my favorite and my go-to. If everybody's playing a concert all at the same time, it will be between Machel and there's another Trinidadian artist called Kez that I would be torn between which one to go to. Everybody else, well, I'll catch them late. I'll go later on.
Yeah, no, I know. Fair enough. Well, I'm going to have to listen to some on Spotify.
So you should.
That's what I'm going to do with this weather, of this, almost 18.
Palm tree, Russ.
8 exactly. Palm tree. I've got light up ones. My wife's put in with like these fairy lights, and maybe. I mean, it's not the Caribbean, but Hornchurch is about 18 degrees today, so. I'll take that for March. Right, a few more, then we'll let you go and enjoy some late afternoon. If there's one rule you could change for goalkeepers, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm not sure what I would, I mean, the rules that pertain to goalkeepers, specifically to goalkeepers, are fairly straightforward. I have no problem with the 6-second rule. Are
you a fan of the goalkeepers when they play it out from the back with the two centre backs inside the box? Are you a fan of that?
I mean, fair play to them.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't doing it. I wasn't. I mean, it was a different game back then. In my own defense, it was a different game back then, and defenders wouldn't be looking for the ball. I remember. So when I was going to college in the US before I joined Reading, I would actually play out in the park a lot.
Yes.
So I had a decent touch. I wasn't a bad outfield player. But then I joined Reading, and so I don't get the opportunity in training or otherwise. But then even so, if I got a back pass, defenders weren't looking for it. Defenders would turn and just start running up the field. They want you to kick it long. They don't want to be playing in the back in those small spaces either. So, so you knew the ball's coming back, you're kicking it long because nobody's looking for it short. So, in the end, after a few years of that or a few years of not having to pass the ball ever, I'm not trusting myself in any short spaces anymore. So it was a different game. It was a different game back then. So fair play to those who do it now, but it wasn't happening back then.
Always makes me nervous. As I said, if you've got the centre backs and the goalkeeper who are good ball players, no problem at all. But when you try and emulate it,
that's right.
I love Craig Dawson, but he ain't a ball playing centre half. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what he likes to lump it. Right, a few more. Right, important ones like favourite TV show.
Favourite TV show.
What's on your Netflix? Seinfeld.
And see, I don't watch a lot of TV.
No.
I keep saying this. I don't watch. My wife and kids watch. We have all these streaming in Netflix and
Yeah.
Hulu's and I just watch reruns of Seinfeld that drive my family sick. And that's my only go-to. I'll watch what they're watching. I have no problem watching whatever they're watching.
Yeah.
But my only go-to is Seinfeld. I don't keep up with any series. I'm not. If it's on, I'll watch it. If not, I'm not bothered. I'm not going to go looking for it.
That's what I like. I'm the same. I can't watch series with my wife because she'll go I'll come down and be like talking to you. If she was watching
Right.
Peaky Blinders, she'd watch 4 episodes and I'll come back up and
Exactly.
I'll be like, let's watch a series together. No, let's not bother.
Weirdly though, I don't mind watching old series.
Yeah.
Like something from 20 years ago. I'll get into something from 20 years ago and be totally happy with it. But anything from now, from recent, and I'm not even talking about a recent series that is based 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I want to watch how it all went. I want to watch what they showed back in 2000. I want to watch that.
You just relive in your West Ham days.
That's right.
It, Shax, isn't it? That's what you're doing, really. Let's be honest.
That's all.
Right, we've got 4 more questions, then I'll let you go, man. What was your best ever day at West Ham? Not necessarily on the pitch, but Shaka didn't go out because he was a good boy, so he didn't go out.
That's absolutely right. Best ever day at West Ham. That's a really good question. I think one day that stands out was going back to that 98-99 season. Our first home game was against Manchester United. And it was right after the 98 World Cup and all the
focus was on
David Beckham and that. But here I am, moving from Newcastle to West Ham. Our first away game, we beat Sheffield Wednesday 1-0. Pretty sure Ian Wright scored late on 85th, 86th minute, something like that. And then here I am playing in front of a new set of fans for the first time against, of all people, Manchester United. And we drew 0-0. And I remember driving out, because leaving Upton Park wasn't easy either.
Nightmare.
If you're not having a good time, it's you're coming out. All the fans are right there. The bowling pub is right there. There is no hiding. But join with Man U 0-0. And I thought I played well. I mean, I kept a clean sheet. I remember making one save from Andy Cole, 1-on-1.
Wow.
And so that for me is kind of how that kind of set the tone for me as to what was expected, and it kind of and it also introduced me to the West Ham fans in a way that I will always remember.
Yeah. Great team. Just look at that team. It's great. Even old Smashy as Smashy Abu. God
That's
bless
right.
him.
That's right.
I love Smashy. He's funny. Right, 3 more questions. Let's do favourite all-time player. Any country, team, whatever. Favourite all-time player for you, man.
Favourite all-time player. It would go down to it would go down to Brazilian Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Who I still think. I mean, injuries and robbed the world of I think the most incredible talent I'd seen. I thought Ronaldinho was always exciting to watch. I don't think I'd seen a player with a better touch on the ball. But one of my favorite players ever was Zinedine Zidane. I would pay good money to watch Zidane run in a straight line. I thought Zidane was as graceful a footballer as they come, and I loved watching him. Really, really did.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean they're all phenomenal players. I think for me, I remember watching. I think it was at the Arsenal game when they were the Invincibles, and Upton Park. You sit there and Thierry Henry, you'd see him, and the best players don't run; they glide. And
That's right.
And he was gliding, and I've never seen a player do that since.
That's right.
He was absolutely in his pomp, man. Right, how do you like your steak cooked? Scott's a chef, that's why.
Medium rare.
Good man. Yeah, okay. I'll give it. Yeah. He's a chef, so anyway,
All right.
so that's right. Daniela asks, would you have liked to play for West Ham longer in your time?
I enjoyed my spell. I think my only disappointment in that was when I broke my leg in
Yeah.
2000. We were again placed. We were doing really well again that season, and I felt I came back too early the following season. So that was a little bit disappointing um, for me on a personal level. And then, of course, the last season that would have been 2000 2001. I think it would have been.
Yeah, would have been, yeah.
David James came
David Jones
in,
coming, yeah.
and you know, I kind of look back on that with a little bit of regret coming back too early,
Yeah.
and I felt but it put me back an entire year. For the want of staying out for another 2 months to rehab, I think I didn't get the best of myself for that entire season, and then Harry left, and Glenn Roeder came in.
Yeah,
May he rest in
yeah,
peace as well.
yeah.
So I really wish I had taken another couple of months to fully recover. So that's my only regret.
Yeah, and we spoke about that on our interview before. I remember you mentioning,
Yeah,
because you were going to, and then obviously JMO got injured. Oh, come back,
that's right.
and it's
Yeah,
sort of, but then your head wasn't, your head was
that's right.
left, so,
That's right.
which is fair
Yep.
enough, man. It's like if you have a normal job, and say the
That's
person,
right.
you're in your month's
That's right.
notice period type thing, wasn't it? So yeah.
That's right.
Is it true you've got an engineering degree, Shax?
I do.
Do you ever
I
use it?
do. I never have. So growing up in Trinidad, the only option when you come to that age, when you finish high school, or the only realistic option at the time was to pursue a soccer scholarship in the US, and you get a
Yeah.
degree and you work on that degree. So I left Trinidad in 1987. Before then, nobody came and played in Europe. Dwight York was the first,
Yeah.
and I think he joined Villa in 1990 thereabouts. So I was just doing as everybody did, as we thought the only option was to go to university and get a degree. And I graduated in engineering, was offered a trial by Reading, and then the long story to this, I actually went to a job center and was just kind of looking at what the salaries were for engineers and with my qualifications, and it was £20,000 a year, so
Yeah.
400 quid a week. And then so I was like, okay, if this football thing is to work, Reading has to offer me at least 400 quid a week.
Yeah.
And suffice to say, they did. So their first offer was 400 quid a week, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it, and never looked back since.
Love
So
it.
I do have an engineering degree. After I finished playing, I went back to school and did a master's of business administration. So I now have 2 degrees, I'm happy to report.
Bloody hell. Bloody hell. Very good. And the last question, thoughts about Trinidad beating the US to stop the US qualifying for the last World Cup?
Bittersweet in
Yeah.
that we still didn't qualify.
No.
So, and I don't think we've kind of built on the momentum of 2006. So while it was good because of, so the long story to that is the game was being played during rainy season, and the US came down as everybody does, a day or two before, and to inspect, to train on the pitch, etc. And now it's the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Rain falls, sun comes out. Half an hour later, you have
All back to
absolutely no
normal.
idea.
Yeah.
But as it happened, when they were training, rain fell. Half of the pitch was flooded, was underwater. But as I say, give it 30 minutes, you would have absolutely no idea. And their social media team took photos of the pitch and put it on blast, and kind of made Trinidad and Tobago look bad, which I thought was ridiculous and
Yeah.
arrogant. So when we beat them, even though it didn't mean anything for us specifically, I just to kind of shove it back down their throats was especially gratifying.
Yeah. Exactly. No, totally. Yes. No, I can imagine that. Yeah, as you said, yeah, it was a bit of sweet, but still,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they shouldn't have. Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? When the social media teams, particularly
But
now,
yeah,
social media
exactly.
being a lot of like, a lot of bantering. Particularly, you see. I mean, we had the guy who runs the Sevilla social media side from the English speaking side came on
Right.
beforehand. Was telling us all about all the great players and and
Right.
did them. Did them. He was like, but we're looking forward because we've won it 6 times and we want 7 on our badge. No, sorry, mate. Anyway,
Not this year.
not
Maybe
this year,
next year.
mate. We'll get it this year. Anyway, mate. Listen, Shax, thanks so much, man. It's been absolutely a pleasure as always. Top man, coolest man in football, and there's some lovely comments and stuff, and everyone's really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so
Good
much.
speaking to you, Russ. Always is.
All
Always
right,
is.
take care, my man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I sure
I'll,
will.
I'll
Take
kick
care.
you out, man. Don't worry, man. There we go. Oh, I love Shax. Love Shax. He's such a dude. Some lovely comments. Thank you so much. Yeah, top man, legend. Great interview. Cheers, mate. He's a brilliant man. I could listen to him all day, can't you? Could listen to his voice all day. And now I know he loves a Tunnocks. Hello. I'm gonna have to send him a box of Tunnocks now. After Ludo, my favourite. Yeah, love the answer. There we go, Wally. I kept that one. I kept it. I saw it and I kept it a start. Apologies if I couldn't go through every question, but there were some questions which were very similar to ones we've already mentioned. So if I hadn't get your question, it's probably been answered just before. Thanks, Scott. Cheers, mate. Cheers, Pat. Sorry, Frank. Right, I'm off to the Queen Vic to try rum and coke. I think we all need to try some fresh coconut water and rum. It sounds delightful. Yeah, top man. Yeah, he was a top man. What we got coming up this? So we got the day. I'm back on nights. No, I'm back on nights. Back on afternoons. So I'll be back tomorrow with the West Ham Daily, the Hammers headlines, and the same on Friday. Next week we have another Q&A. Another Q&A, Russ. Yes, another Q&A. I haven't put a. Oh, shall I? I'm trying to find. I haven't got any. Let me write it. Let me type it up instead. So next week, next Wednesday 9 p.m. Let me put this on as a thing. Wednesday 9 p.m. I'm going to put next Wednesday so no one gets confused. They're thinking, oh, it started 4 minutes ago. Next week we have Mr. Academy, Tony Carr. We have Mr. Academy, Tony Carr on, the man who basically, and we've done a My Hammers 11 with Tony, so make sure you go back and listen to it. It literally is the 2010 World Cup squad. He picked all players that have come for the Academy. It was the likes of, obviously I let him have John Terry, but it was Joe Cole, it was Michael Carrick, it was Rio Ferdinand, Glenn Johnson. So we've got Tony Carr on next week. He's got a new book coming out, an autobiography coming out. We was meant to have him on last week, but we got bumped by the mail on Sunday. That's how good we are. So make sure you come back on next Wednesday for Tony Carr's sort of live Q&A with you guys as well. Honestly, the questions have been mental as always. Really good questions. I've tried my best to get as many as possible in terms of giving him his shack. So we've got Tony Carr, and then on Thursday next week we've got a Julian Dix appreciation night with Martin Godliman and with Nigel Khan. So we've done them before with the likes of Jeff Hurst a couple of weeks ago and So we've got that next week as well. So that'll be on Thursday. So Wednesday, Thursday next week. We've got some stuff coming on. So, and obviously Tuesday, England are playing on. So I'm not going to put anything on Tuesday. And I think England are playing on Saturday. And then obviously next week, after Thursday, then we start getting ready for Everton game. Indeed, Mr. Academy. Oh, Ludders is in the chat. Good. Happy birthday, Ludders. I bought you Shaka Hislop. There we go. I should have got him to say happy birthday. I do apologise. So yeah, Tony Carr next week. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. I'll be back about 12:30 tomorrow with a daily, taking a topical story and seeing what we can do with it. We'll let Ludders, although she was late, we'll let that one happen. Thanks, Strain Tate. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I mean, man's a total legend, isn't he? Man is a total legend. I think we had Scott on. We had Scott Minton, was it last week? And he was talking about Shaka and said he was the coolest man in football. He is the coolest man in football. I absolutely love the man, and I'm gonna have to buy him a box of Tunnocks. West Ham. Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you very, very much, everyone. As I said, West Ham still getting fourth. No, Arsenal, I don't think we are Arsenal. As I said, even before, you can go back and check. I thought we were in a slightly false position because, unlike you guys, we don't cry off all of our games. And now Arteta's moaning about all the games being piled up. When the hell are you going to play them? If you played them before, well, you didn't have to get rid of, you didn't have enough players to field a team. But you're okay to send out, what was his name, Jose Mal on loan. You're all right to get rid of Callum Chambers, but what goes around comes around, my friends. But anyway, it's going to be fun. And I think the end of the season is going to be really interesting. And maybe not want to get fourth, because if we win the Europa League and it all trades, fourth might not get into the Europa. That would be a shame. I need to find out which rum. I'll ask him. I'll ask Shaka what rum. I'll give him a couple of days, let him chill out a bit, then I'll get back to him. Thanks for everyone. We'll have to watch. You have to, lads. It was great. We found some really interesting stuff out today. We found out his favourite chocolate, all the important stuff. Favourite chocolate bar. He's a big Seinfeld fan. There was some Calypso artists I'm going to listen to now, which will be interesting. And yeah, loves a Tunnocks. Loves a Tunnocks, like we all do. We all love a Tunnocks. And I'm glad I can't believe all of that. Dairy milk, he barely remembered what dairy milk was called. But then it was, and Tunnocks caramel wafers. Love it. As sponsored by Shaka Hislop. Anyway, so guys, thank you very, very much for your time. I said I'll be back tomorrow. And so I hope you have a great rest of the evening. If you're new, and I said, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Maybe become a channel member. Why not become a channel member? We've got over 50 of them on the channel so far. And I'd like to thank every one of them at each of my shows. Take care, man. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Stay lucky. Stay healthy. And I'll see you very, very soon. Take care, my friends. Bye.
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate,